Alright, welcome to another video lab, and today we will focus on the lab number 8 where we will try to do SQL query on AWS Athena. And you can see this is the console home, right, when you come into your management console. So the different services that I think we should get ready will be S3. You'll be working with it, so it's good to keep it open. And the rest, let's go to Athena in order to do it. So once you log in, you get this interface, right? You can turn this off if you want to give you more space. And what we already see here will be the default values that I believe is consistent. Right, first we can select the AWS data catalog. We don't have to select anything, but here instead of a default database, we can select from one of these, right, from our previous lab. So for today's exercise, we want to select AWS Iceberg, right, as our main database. Your tables may look different, which is okay, right? Depends whether you have run this exercise or not. But I believe taxi trips should be there. Borrow summary may not be, but you will create it throughout the exercise. So what we need to do today, if you're now at part 1, you can see we select the data query, query editor. Then we will need to now set up the setting here, right? For you may not have this, right? So by right, you will come in without anything set. I have done this exercise before, therefore you see something. By right, yours will be like this, right? So to make it clearer, maybe we should just keep it blank, right? When you, for the first time when you log in, you see there's no result location. And that's where you can browse S3 and you look for the AWS bucket that you are interested in, right? So for us, this will be the bucket we would like to work on. And instead of just the bucket itself, we probably want to put Athena results, right, to be specific, that this will be the bucket location, right, that we would like to work on. So once you have typed this, you can click save. You can see this will be the location you would like to key in Athena results and not just the bucket itself. So once you have this done, now you can go back to your editor, and next thing that you like to select, you should be able to see taxi trips also. So we can even click on this, then you can see the structure, right, of the table. So with this, you can now go to part 1.2, where I would like you to now try to copy and paste the query. So you will select the pick up borrow, which you can see it is definitely here, right? And then you have a few SQL commands, and you can take some time to understand this. But what we want is to read this from taxi trips and access the data through the database. So you can see we receive the results from the table. Up to this point, you may feel this is just like your SQL exercise you have done, but bear in mind, this database here is actually accessed through your S3, right? So this thing is actually at your S3, and you are already using the AWS S3 plus Athena, right, in order to access your data. So if this has worked for you, you can now move on to the next one, which is the next query. I would encourage you to just start the new query so that you can keep the different queries there for you to access. So this is in 1.3. right? You now do some counts, and you can see these are the available trips registered in the different borrower. Okay, so this is quite straightforward, and we can also do a wide selection. That's query B. So let's go back Let's start the new one. Okay. So throughout this process, I encourage you to even play around, right, with the parameters so that you can try different SQL queries to access, right, what is in taxi trips and get familiar with it. And this shouldn't be too difficult because it is like revision to your SQL knowledge. But the cool part is you are working on a potentially, big data that is stored in S3 by using the Athena SQL interface. Okay, so if this part is done, we can now go to 1.4, where now you will be creating a new table. Okay, so in this sense, you can see you would like to create a table called Barrel Summary, which I already have, so maybe it's better for me to delete it. You don't have to do this because this is what I've done earlier, right? So to make it more, let's say, accurate, by right, you have nothing here. You don't have that table, and we would like to, okay, you don't have to do the delete, all right? So now you want to create it. That's why you create a table, and then the format and also the location. So this is where you need to go to your S3 and copy the bucket name. Okay, so now you have the right bucket name here, and the rest should be the standard values, right? So if this is copied correctly and configured based on your own bucket, you should be able to run it, and now a new table will be created. So that's why mine was there earlier, because I've done this exercise before, right? And now you can see this is exactly as what you have defined, right? So you can see trips, right? AVG, tip and fare, and also the percentage all are created here. Okay, so you should have no problem creating even new tables, and with that you can also now navigate and play around with this new table. So the comparison we want you to do this week is not just working on Athena, but I would like you to also go to Google, right, where you can come to, okay, console here is a different story, but there's a link that I want you to try, okay, which is, let me try here, okay, to go to BigQuery, and you will come to the console here, right, where you will have the BigQuery interface and so on. So once you come in, you may not have the project, but that's where you can create a new project and name it anything you like. I would like to create one that I call IST3134, then I can work within this project. Feel free to also navigate around, play with the different options to understand, but you should see this interface not too different from the one that you have in Athena. Basically, it is a SQL editor that you can work with. Like for example here, you can work on the different queries and notebook and so on. Today we'll just work on the SQL query, and later you can also work on the different things like notebook and so on and try it out. Okay, so once you log into BigQuery on the Google Cloud, what I want you to do, right, is to set up. So what happened is you go to your project name, and I want you to create data set, right? So here is where you can click on create data set. So with the project you have selected, you will get a default kind of like database, and then you can go to create data set. And what you need to do here is to update the data set right here. So you can put lab 8, and the location, remember to set it to US, right? Let's select East 1. Okay, that should do the job. Then you can create data set here. So in order to create the table, we will import the data from the data set that you have used from the previous lab. So you can come to lab 8 and go to click create table. So here I would like you to click on upload, but before that it will make sense that we download the data set. The link is given in your lab sheet. So you will see the whole file being displayed here. So you just have to save the file in a known folder. So I'm going to save it here, right? And once this is saved, you can come here and look for upload. And now you can click on browse. And once you select the CSV, keep the file format correct, and the rest you can keep it as default, and the rest you don't have to do anything. Then you can click create table. Alright, and before that, sorry, you should create a auto detect, right, so that it will try to detect the schema based on the headers. That will do the job. So cross check again, upload the file that you have saved. It's CSV, the rest you keep default. Make sure auto detect is selected. The rest, again, you don't have to change anything. Then you click on this. Alright, looks like table need to be named. Oh, sorry, yes. It should be NYC Taxi as the table name. Okay, now it looks correct. Okay, it'll take a while. And once it's done, we can move to 2.2. So feel free to copy the query, right? So you can see NYC Taxi is uploaded and created. So you have a table now in your data set. So what we want to do today is to go to query. So when you're here, okay, yeah, I think let's just start from the untitled query as our first query. So you can see this is the first command in 2.2 that you would like to also then name your project, which is IST3134 for me. This is the project name, and that will be the table, right? Lab 8 and NYC Taxi. So click run. Oops, let me see if this is the case. Then I might need the I assume that now is correct. Let me try. Yeah. So the project name is basically this one that has the number. Okay. And you can see now I can access it correctly. Okay, so note this project name is not the one on top, but here is the project name with the 502300. Okay. So now I have a successful query. I can get the value out of my data set. Okay, and you can play around with this, to see whether you can query differently and get different results. So spend some time, explore it, and that will be 2.3. So when it comes to 2.4, I would like to now try the next query. Okay, same thing. Now let me just copy this so that it can be faster. No, there's no point. So here there are two places you want to put in the project name. You will create a new table, which is what we have done in the AWS, and now here you will read from NYC Taxi and now create a new table that has these different columns, right? So this is consistent with what we have done earlier. And you can see it takes a while, and once it's done, you can go to the table. You can also view the content, right? So to create a table like earlier, there's no problem. So what you need to do now with these two tables created, one here and also one in Athena, right? They are identical. What you can do is to run some of the different exercises that you can do, and part 3 is all for you to do the comparison. And if you want, right, even though in the lab sheet I asked you to play with Spark SQL, Athena and BigQuery, but if you do not have the EMR ready, you can leave out the Spark SQL, but I strongly encourage, if you can, just clone the Spark SQL on the EMR and then now run the Athena and BigQuery comparison so that you can see what kind of speed advantage you have for the 3 different approaches, right? But if you do not have an EMR ready, you may want to do this comparison later when you do the next lab, lab 9, where you will create an EMR and try out Hive. Maybe at that time you can repeat some of these exercises, right? I think I leave it to you, but it would be really good if you can compare the different techniques. You look at the query, right, status, like the time needed and so on, and compare them across the different platforms, that you can tell which of these actually work better than the other, right? So with this, I think we have covered lab number 9, at least the instructions. Try out, and if you have time and interested, do try out the stretch task, right? That may give you also a little bit challenge, but you get to play around with the different techniques better. Okay, so have fun working with Athena and BigQuery until I see you in the next lab, in the next video. All right, thank you and bye.